The sun was barely up in the floating slum of Makoko, Lagos, when Amara Kingsley was jolted awake by the sharp voice of her aunt. "Amara, still sleeping? Do you think yam peels itself?" barked Aunt Clara, a wide-hipped woman with bitter eyes and a tongue that never tired. Amara, now 20, had lived in Clara's shack for 5 years, ever since the accident that had claimed both her parents. She had no siblings, no inheritance, and certainly no one else who would take her in. "I'm coming, Auntie," Amara replied softly, pulling herself from the raffia mat on the bare floor. Her bones ached. She tied her scarf and rushed to the small outdoor kitchen, where firewood smoke bit at her eyes. Her stomach groaned, but there was no breakfast until the chores were done. Clara stood in the doorway, arms folded, watching her with silent contempt. "Go fetch water first," she ordered. "That pot is dry. I won't eat dry air." The clay pot was heavy in her hands as she made her way down the slippery plank walkways of Makoko toward the stream. The 30-minute walk each way was treacherous. She passed other girls laughing in groups, but Amara walked alone. By the time she returned, her shoulders ached. She went straight to cooking palm nut stew and pounded yam, pretending not to notice how her stomach twisted in hunger. The only thought that soothed her was Jonas, the boy with warm eyes and a cobbler's apron, waiting for her under the mango tree. Jonas Thomas was the one soft thing in Amara's harsh world. Tall, with hands calloused from work and a smile that brightened like sunrise over Lagos Lagoon, he was her quiet escape. After finishing her chores that day, Amara tiptoed out, slipping away toward the old mango tree near the shoemaker's stall where Jonas apprenticed. He was there as always, fixing a sandal with focused care. "Amara," Jonas beamed when he saw her. "You look like Ma Clara made you carry the entire stream again." Amara laughed gently, sitting beside him. "Something like that." She glanced at his work, inhaling the warm scent of leather and mango bark. "I needed to see you today." Jonas wiped his hands and took her gently. "One day you won't need to suffer in that woman's house. I swear on my father's name, I'll take you away from here." Amara's heart tightened at those words. She had heard them before, yet when he looked at her like that, with such fierce hope, she wanted to believe. "You always say that, Jonas," she said, "but I'm still here." "Not forever," he whispered. "I'm saving up. I'll marry you, Amara. You and me will start fresh." Beneath the rustling mango leaves, with the city's chaos distant and dulled, Amara allowed herself to dream. The only other person who offered Amara warmth was Mama Janet, Jonas's widowed mother. She lived just past the shoe shop in a neatly kept wooden hut, painted pale yellow. That afternoon, Amara arrived carrying a broom. "Mama Janet," she called out, "I've come to help." The older woman opened the door with a gentle smile. "Come in, my daughter. God will bless you. Come and sweep, Abeg. My knees are tired of arguing with the ground." Amara cleaned and helped prepare pepper soup. Mama Janet watched her with admiration. "You'll make a good wife for Jonas. I see how you care for him. You have the grace of a queen, even if life is treating you like a servant." Amara blushed. No one had ever called her queen before. She wasn't used to compliments. Her life had been a long stretch of insults and invisible wounds. Later that day, as she left Mama Janet's hut, she felt a kind of joy that terrified her. Joy was a fragile thing in a place like Makoko. Back home, Aunt Clara was seated on her stool, chewing ground nuts and watching her like a hawk. Clara smirked. "Still running off to that shoemaker boy? Good. Let him take you away. The sooner the better." "I didn't beg your parents to die and leave me with a burden." Amara swallowed the insult like she always did. But that night on her mat, she allowed herself to imagine the life Jonas spoke of, one without Aunt Clara, without hunger, without shame. Jonas had never left Makoko until the day his boss sent him on an urgent delivery to Ikea. The shoes were meant for a top client if all went well. It could bring in new business for the entire workshop. Dressed in his cleanest clothes, Jonas boarded the bus, heart pounding with nerves and pride. When he arrived, the city dazzled him. Tall glass buildings, clean sidewalks, traffic like flowing rivers of metal. It was nothing like home. The client's daughter, Vanessa Coker, was waiting. She was nothing like Amara. Dressed in foreign perfume and expensive heels, she looked Jonas up and down like he was something new to examine. "You made these?" she asked, raising a brow at the sandals. Jonas nodded. "Yes, Ma. You don't talk much. That's good," she said with a smirk. She tipped him double and winked. From that day, Vanessa found reasons to summon Jonas extra fittings, adjustments, or just conversations that lasted too long. Jonas tried to resist the pull of her world, but it was tempting. Vanessa showed him things he'd never dreamed of: meals in restaurants, cash gifts, whispered promises of setting him up in the city. "Why fix sandals when you could run a shop of your own?" she said one afternoon. "Be with someone who can help you rise." Jonas thought of Amara, loyal, hopeful, still waiting in Makoko, but he also thought of rent money, new clothes, and the sharp scent of success. And slowly his visits home became less frequent. Amara sat alone beneath the mango tree, her hands clutched in her lap, waiting for Jonas. The days had stretched into weeks. He still sent the occasional word through his friend Shuka, but he hadn't come himself. Her heart was starting to itch with worry. Finally, he arrived one evening, dressed in a shirt that didn't look like it came from the slum. She smiled, her soul lighting up, but Jonas didn't smile back. "Amara," he began, not meeting her eyes. "I have to tell you something." She felt a lump grow in her throat. "I'm leaving, for real this time. Vanessa wants me to work with her. She's offered me a place, a business connection. I can't let that go." Amara blinked, her heart thudding. "And what about me? Everything we talked about?" Jonas sighed. "I need to think about my future. You deserve someone who can give you more." Amara stood there as he turned and walked away, leaving dust in his wake. Her breath came in shudders. Her dream had collapsed, right under the mango tree where it was born. When she returned home, Aunt Clara was waiting. "So it's true," she sneered. "Your shoemaker prince has gone to marry money. Be grateful he did it now, before you tied yourself to his broken slippers." Amara didn't respond. She just curled up on her mat that night and cried until her tears turned to silence. Weeks passed in a slow, painful blur. Amara buried herself in chores, in silence, in anything that distracted her from the void Jonas left behind. But her body started changing. Her appetite shifted, her waist thickened, and then one morning, she missed her period again. A growing fear bloomed in her chest like smoke from a hidden fire. Clutching a cheap pregnancy test from a roadside pharmacy, Amara waited in the backyard toilet for the result. When she saw 2 red lines appear, her knees gave way. Her breath caught in her throat. She was pregnant and abandoned. The clay test fell from her hand, cracking in the dirt like her hopes. That evening, Aunt Clara noticed her slow movements and sunken eyes. "You've been dragging yourself around like you're sick," she said, eyes narrowing. "Speak up." Amara hesitated but then whispered, "I think I'm pregnant." Clara screamed, drawing the attention of neighbors. "Pregnant? In my house? After all I've done for you?" Without another word, she threw Amara's things out into the street and slammed the door. And just like that, Amara found herself homeless, heartbroken, and carrying a life inside her. Amara clutched her torn bag as she walked the narrow alleys of Makoko in the fading daylight. Her feet ached, her eyes burned. She had nowhere to go except one place. She approached Mama Janet's hut, her last thread of hope. With trembling hands, she knocked. The old woman opened the door, her face wrinkled with suspicion. "What are you doing here, my dear?" Amara explained, voice breaking. "Jonas left. I'm carrying his child. Aunt Clara kicked me out." Mama Janet's eyes widened. "Pregnant? With my son's child?" She stepped back. "Jonas has moved on. He doesn't even mention your name anymore." Amara dropped to her knees. "Please, I have no one." But Mama Janet's face had turned cold. "If he denies you, who am I to claim you?" She shut the door, just as Aunt Clara had. Amara stood outside, frozen. Then she turned and walked, nowhere in mind, her swollen belly already pulling her toward the next chapter. Makoko was quiet as night fell. The lagoon glistened under moonlight, and children's laughter faded with the tide. Amara collapsed beneath the shade of an old baobab tree, the kind of place the elders said held spirits. Her body trembled. Hunger clawed at her. Her stomach, once flat and hopeful, now curved with life. A gentle voice broke her despair. "Child, what happened?" An elderly woman wrapped in patterned ankara stood before her Mama Efe, a respected herbal seller. Amara poured out everything: her love, betrayal, pregnancy, and rejection. Mama Efe listened without interrupting, then reached into her wrapper and handed her a small bundle of notes. "Take this, it's not much, but it'll buy you food and maybe a place to rest your head for now." Amara took it with shaking hands, eyes swimming in tears. "Thank you. You're strong, girl," Mama Efe said. "The storm will pass. You must live for that child and for yourself." With Mama Efe's money, Amara boarded a danfo heading to mainland Lagos Island. Her face was pressed to the window as Makoko faded behind her. She had heard stories of how cruel Lagos could be, but now she would live it. She found a small room in Ahigunle, barely bigger than a closet. The landlord didn't ask questions. She slept on the floor that night, her belly rising and falling with the slow breath of survival. To survive, she began selling sachet water on busy roads. "Pure water, cold water," she called out, the tray heavy on her head. Under the punishing sun, her lips cracked and feet blistered. Some people showed kindness, others pushed her aside. Every naira earned was a victory. She counted every coin at night, whispering promises to her unborn child. But Lagos didn't care. One afternoon, as she crossed the road, shouting her wares, a black SUV swerved in front of her. She dropped the tray. People screamed. Amara collapsed from shock, the water sachets exploding like her world. "Oh my God," a man's voice said. Then darkness took her. When Amara opened her eyes, she was in a hospital room. Clean sheets, a humming fan, her belly still intact. She turned her head. A well-dressed man sat beside her, eyes filled with concern. "You're safe," he said gently. "I'm Benjamin Hart. I almost hit you with my car. I'm sorry." Tears spilled from Amara's eyes. "I was just trying to survive. I didn't mean to be in the way." Benjamin listened quietly. "Do you have somewhere to go?" She hesitated, then shook her head. "I live in a room, a dangerous one. No family, no help." After a moment of silence, he said, "Come stay with me. Not as charity, but as help. You can cook, clean, live like a human being again." Amara stared at him in disbelief. After everything, could she trust again? Her heart still bruised, she whispered, "Okay." And for the first time in a long time, she felt her breath release. Maybe her story wasn't ending here. Maybe it was just beginning again. The end. What's your take on Amara's powerful journey from pain to purpose? Did any moment move you the most? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring African tales. Your support helps bring more stories like this to life.